So in previous videos, we've shown the first 5 strikes that we can do, basic strikes. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and our 5 center line thrust. So if you haven't seen that video, check it out. You can see it. I'll put a link up to it as well. The next thing we want to do is, though, while these are great and they do flow across the body, and as we've seen, a 1 can be fed back by a 4, a 2 can be fed back by a 3. These are great. These are wonderful, and they are basic combinations, the high X, for example, or the low X, that anybody can do and start to learn how to flow with their stick. But one of the things as you advance is, and as we've said about moving in and out of between ranges in other videos, we need to be able to change a little bit more effectively. And sometimes, like in kenpo, that is using an additional strike or a hidden move, as I love to hear it called in kenpo. So at this point when we do it, we could be using this slightly more effectively and starting to hit strikes. And what I'm introducing there is the concept of what's known as an Abaniko or fan strike. The reason it's called an Abaniko or fan strike is it will, if I illustrate in this way, essentially make the shape of a fan. Think oriental fan if we're talking about this, and that's what we're looking at. So not electrical fan because nobody has that level of wrist mobility, but certainly oriental fan is what we're looking at in terms of shape here. So when we're hitting our Abaniko, now it will give me an opportunity, if I do half an Abaniko here, to fill in the space between my 1 and my 2, okay? So my 1, 2, that can be quite long. We can, of course, shorten it, but maybe I have to put a staccato beat in there or a half a beat in there to stop an advancement from the other person. Now I can hit through on my 2 because I've broken that person's rhythm. So they're waiting on a 1, perhaps trying to crash in, trap, whatever it may be, for my 2 to come through. So now my Abaniko becomes my half beat to stop that movement or stop that momentum. So again, when we are doing this, we're introducing the Abaniko as 1, a very good strike, a deceptive strike, which can hit off angle and really mess with people, or it can also be used to bridge between strikes and put a stop or a pause in between the action. Okay, if you make someone flinch, for example, you're pausing their action as well. So how do we train an Abaniko? Again, as we said, we will have our shoulder and our elbow pretty much in a straight line right here. We're going to start from this position where the puño is pointing towards the other person, again, parallel to the floor, usually, okay? Once we hit from here, we're going to rotate our wrist and we're going to hit with the back side of the stick at this point. And again, we're looking to hit with as much of the tip as possible on this one than we are with the rest of the stick. So we hit our tip, and then from here, the reverse of that is to turn the other way. Now an Abaniko can start, typically speaking, it will start from here. It will be off the offside when you practice it, but of course, it could start, once I'm in this position, from the front side as well. So it can be the backhand here, the forehand, whichever you want to call it. So if we come back to one of the exercises that we did on a previous video, I said about gripping your stick in this way and rotating, and then rotating on the high line. Likewise, the Abaniko continues on a high line, can also be done on a vertical line. There are many ways to do an Abaniko. We'll talk about that in future, how we can build up combinations. This is introducing the Abaniko strike to begin with. Now, one way to do that is as well, you'll notice as time goes on, you introduce the pattern of movement from the hips to get more rotation and more power. But again, what we're looking at is when we do this first, we want to drill this in isolation. So if I drill this in isolation, I'm going to bring it up to the exact same position that we talked about, but I might put either my second stick if I want to train double, which you can do, or I'm going to put this under as a shelf. I'm just going to rotate from here just to get used to the idea of it. Now there will be some shoulder shift, there will be some movement, of course. Your body can't isolate itself. And again, if your wrists are not that flexible, you do have to move a little bit. So there is an open and close movement here as well. What we're trying to isolate is adding in too much movement to the point where you're actually going to overshoot or undershoot your strike, depending on what you're doing. You're not getting the effectiveness of it. So again, we start from here and we'll rotate it in. And we'll try our best to meet the line of our nose here, imagining that that other person is on the end of it. And then as time progresses, you can start shifting your hips as we do with our other strikes and lining that up. And again, whenever you finish your movement with your hips or your feet, you still should have that point pretty much on the line that you're aiming for. So the problem is if we overshoot, now suddenly my strike is over here. So I always want to be aware of where the tip of this is in relation to the other person or my target at this point. And that way, when I rotate my hips, all of the power is now concentrated on that one point in time. So Abaniko, another strike to add in, and now it can be used to bridge different positions. We can hit off different angles, different ways, as we see fit, which still feed our five basic strikes together as well.